Let's talk about the good and bad of living in Cartersville. You're either thinking about Cartersville specifically, or you're doing a lot of research and wondering if this might be the best option for you. I'll tell you all the reasons I love Cartersville, and perhaps even more important, the cons of living here, which might be deal breakers for you. So stick around to make sure that you know exactly what you're getting into. Let's get into it. If you're new here, here's the cliff notes on Cartersville. It's going to be an hour drive northwest of Atlanta, going up I-75. Population is 24,000, so certainly on the smaller side, but that's just in the city limits, so there are more out there in the unincorporated Cartersville area. I would say what's unique about Cartersville is that it has a small town vibe, more mountainous scenery, but still has everything that you would need, like Target, Walmart, Kroger, Publix, movie theater, Home Depot, Lowe's, restaurants, and parks. Now, let's start with the pros. Is this a pro or is this a con? It really depends on you. Cartersville is pretty much the farthest away from Atlanta you can get and still call it a suburb. Some will even jump into the comments to tell me that it's not a suburb of Atlanta at all. And depending on who you talk to or which source, study, or article you're pulling from, they could be considered absolutely correct. Maybe you want to be closer to everything the big city has to offer. In that case, this might be a little bit far for you. Although with Cartersville being right along I-75, it's a simple shot down the interstate. I didn't say short drive, but it is a simple one. Or maybe you want to be as far away from Atlanta as possible, but still have a Target down the road. In that case, you nailed it, and let's start looking for houses. So if you're still looking to be in the metro Atlanta area, but you love space and small town vibes, then this could be a great option for you. If you need help dialing in the best area, go ahead, reach out to me. My name is Joel. I'm a local realtor here in the metro area. My information is going to be below in the description. You also see it here right at the bottom of the screen. I help clients relocate here all the time. Call, text, or email. I'll be able to help you figure out which area is going to work best for you. Always happy to answer questions or have a conversation. So this one may surprise you because it's such a smaller city, but Cartersville has some great museums. The Tell Science Museum is a Smithsonian affiliate and has a great natural history and science section, complete with planetarium. We actually have season passes here, and this is a reminder to myself to head there this weekend while it's still cold outside and I need to get the kids out of the house. We've been there a bunch and we always have a great time. The museum keeps things fresh with rotating exhibits, and there's also a cafe to get some lunch and take a break. It's a great mix of both fun and educational, but not in a corny way. The Western Booth Art Museum is the largest collection of Western art in the world and also a Smithsonian affiliate. This is a bit of a hidden gem for anyone who loves Western art specifically, history, or just a unique experience. They have paintings, sculptures, photography, and there's actually a lot of history there as well. The Presidential Gallery has portraits and signed letters from every US president, and the Civil War Gallery dives into how the events of that time shaped the nation. There's also a play area downstairs that has a lot of interactive Western theming, like you can ride a horse and a stagecoach, so if you have active kiddos, there's gonna be something for them as well. The Savoy Auto Museum is a must visit for car enthusiasts. It's a recent addition that opened up just in 2021. The collection is always changing, so whether you're into muscle cars, European sports cars, or vintage, there's gonna be something cool to check out. There's iconic names like Ferrari, Porsche, Ford, Rolls-Royce, with exhibits that are usually grouped by themes like luxury, racing, legends, or just American classics. Not only will you get to see the cars, but it's really fun to learn about the stories behind the cars. So Cartersville is going to be one of the most affordable suburbs in the Atlanta metro. I pull the metro Atlanta numbers pretty regularly, and Cartersville consistently comes in as the #1 most affordable city around Atlanta. As of this recording, median home price is just under $350,000. If you narrow that down to a typical 3-bed, 2-bath, that median price comes down below $300,000 at $296,000. Depending on where you are in the country, it's been a minute since you saw a price start with a 2. A little over 100 new listings hit the market in this city every single month, and they are currently staying there for about 3 weeks. Now, what does that mean for you? 1, more time to think, so you don't have to feel rushed. This is a very large transaction and it can be a stressful transaction, so a slower pace can be a huge asset. Number 2, those numbers are gonna mean you're not gonna have to pay as much for your house as some of the other cities around here. Currently, there are 246 homes ranging from a cute little 1-bed, 1-bath, 600 square foot cabin on the lake up to something about 10 times that big on 2 acres overlooking Lake Allatoona for $1.2 million. First, there's Terminus Wake Park, one of the most popular cable wake parks in the United States. So if you don't know what the heck I'm talking about, wakeboarding is like water skiing, but like on a water skateboard. But instead of needing a boat or a friend with a boat, they pull you on this looped cable system. Even if you're a beginner, the staff is super friendly and they offer lessons and guidance, so you can feel very, very comfortable and safe. And if you're more experienced, they have obstacles and ramps if you want to challenge yourself or just learn some new skills. This is a really fun and unique spot to visit on a hot summer when you're looking for a weekend activity. Then there's Pine Mountain Park, which is right on the edge of Pine Mountain and is a great place for hiking, picnicking, or just soaking up some really great scenery. There's a wide variety of trails, so whether you just want a stroll through the woods or something a little bit more challenging that will take you to some great views, they're going to have it here. There's also Dellinger Park, which I think is one of the best parks in the entire metro area. It has a fantastic range of amenities, including baseball and softball fields, tennis courts, pickleball courts, walking track, and multiple playgrounds. There's a nice lake with a gazebo surrounded by a gravel walking path. It's just a really big park with a lot to do. Finally, there's the Etowah Indian Mounds, one of the most well-preserved Native American culture sites in the entire Southeast United States. And it is a super cool way to see what a village looked like and what it was like for them over 1,000 years ago. There are 6 massive mounds that were built entirely by hand. There's also a small museum showcasing things like the tools they use, pottery, jewelry. It's also right along the Etowah River and is a beautiful place to spend an afternoon. Let's talk about the boom coming to Cartersville. There are already a couple of notable employers here and one that's on the way. So if you're looking for a plant or a factory job, this is going to be a great option. There's Toyo Tire Plant. Toyo is a Japanese tire company that makes tires for virtually every make and model of car. While it has many headquarter locations around the world, its manufacturing plant is right here in Bartow County. It's a 150-acre site with almost 1 million square feet that created nearly 1,000 jobs right at its outset and still adding to that total with expansions. Then there's Piedmont Healthcare Center. This was originally Cartersville Medical Center and was bought by Piedmont Healthcare in 2021. It's a 120-bed hospital that is one of the largest employers in the area. 800 plus employees, 350 plus physicians, 825 newborn deliveries, 48,000 emergency visits, 4,500 surgeries, 34,000 outpatient encounters, over 7,000 inpatient admissions. There's plenty of work to go around. Finally, there's the new battery power plant in Kingston. Hyundai is currently building a giant battery plant in Kingston, Georgia, right outside of Cartersville. This site is enormous. We're talking 3.3 million square feet of manufacturing right here in North Georgia. Officials say the new facility will be one of the most significant economic development projects in Georgia history and will invest approximately $4 to $5 billion into Bartow County. They built one of these in Savannah recently and it created about 8,500 jobs. The initial projections for this site is 3,500 jobs upon opening with room to grow. This plant is set to open Q1 of 2025, so like really soon as of this recording. Downtown Cartersville, Georgia is a charming mix of small town vibes and really big personality, making it a great spot for just a day to explore. I would even say it's better than some of the bigger suburbs around like Ackworth and Kennesaw. The historic downtown area is packed with unique shops, cozy cafes, and locally owned restaurants. All that set against the backdrop of some really beautiful historic buildings. And yes, there are some really good restaurants in here, and they're all gonna show up in this downtown area. Table 20 is a great date night spot or a fancy lunch. Appalachian Grill I would call like fancy mountain town, steak, burgers, fish, but also like chili, baked potatoes, fried pickles. Largos is more upscale. They are only open for dinner starting at 5, so you know it's fancy. Rooster Shack lives up to the name. It's just a little shack that serves some really great breakfast, but also lunch. City Cellar is a good spot for events and parties. Main Street Coastal Cuisine is your seafood specialist sourcing their fish from other coastal towns. If you have a free afternoon or weekend, I highly recommend spending some time here. Is Cartersville a small town? Definitely on the bubble, and maybe that bubble is about to burst. In a way, it definitely acts like most small towns in that there's a central area where pretty much everything is, and there's not much else. And everyone lives around it and travels in whenever they need to do some shopping or get some food or whatever. The difference is that the central area where everything is pretty big. The downtown area, as well as where 41 meets Main Street, is packed with restaurants, fast food, local development like Target, Home Depot, Lowe's, Walmart, car dealerships, you name it. This isn't your 1 or 2 traffic light town. You can probably envision when it was at one point, but now it's got 4-lane highways, interstate roads going through it. But once you leave that central area, it thins out pretty quickly and is either residential, farmland, or a factory or plant of some sort. This is changing though as urban expansion from Atlanta continues. More on that later. And more jobs bringing in more residents, sparking more building. For now, it remains a pretty simple place. The main location concern is proximity to downtown. We'll see if this changes over time. And now for the cons, so you decide for yourself whether these are gonna be a deal breaker for you. Obligatory disclaimer that my code of ethics impedes me from speaking about safety as my own opinion. There's a long history of realtors steering folks towards or away from certain towns under the guise of safety. What I will do is cite data from third-party sources, so if something happens, please don't sue me. Let's take a look at what neighborhoodscout.com has to say. The crime rate in Cartersville is considerably higher than the national average across all communities in America, from the largest to the smallest. Although at 27 crimes per 1,000 residents, it is not among the communities with the very highest crime rate. Well, that's nice. The chance of becoming a victim of either violent or property crime in Cartersville is 1 in 36. Based on FBI crime data, Cartersville is not one of the safest communities in America. Relative to Georgia, Cartersville has a crime rate that is higher than 81% of the state's cities and towns of all sizes. Importantly, when you compare Cartersville to other communities of similar population, then Cartersville crime rate, violent and property crimes combined, is quite a bit higher than average. Regardless of how Cartersville does relative to all communities in America of all sizes, when Neighborhood Scout compared it to communities of similar population size, its crime rate per 1,000 residents stands out as higher than most. So listen, that's not great news. If you look at the map on Neighborhood Scout, there are areas where living here is safer. So if you're thinking about moving here or planning on moving here, just make sure you've done your research and you know what you're getting into. Reach out to me if you're trying to figure out which area, city, or cities would be best for you. I live here in Metro Atlanta. I hang out at all of these different locations, so you can give me 3 or 4 things that are really important to you, and I'm gonna be able to place you right in the spots that are going to work. Information is here. Call, text, or email anytime. Happy to have a conversation. Cartersville, Georgia, like a lot of small towns experiencing growth, is facing concerns about urban expansion as more people figure out that it's a nice place on the boom and want to get in on the ground floor. On the one hand, the growth brings exciting opportunities, new businesses, housing developments, and amenities that can boost up the local economy and create jobs. On the other hand, longtime residents are thinking, listen, this is not why I moved here in the first place, and I don't like how things are changing. One big concern is the potential loss of the green spaces and the farmland as development pushes more and more outward. Cartersville's surrounding areas are known for their scenic landscapes, and residents are eager to preserve the natural and open environment that makes the area what it's always been. Traffic is another hot topic. With more people moving in, roads that were designed for a smaller population are starting to feel the strain, raising questions about how they're going to balance growth with smart planning. There's also an identity concern. How to keep the heart of Cartersville intact. Residents take pride in the town's historic feeling, and they don't want to see that eroded by rapid, unchecked development. Local leaders and planners are working to address these changes through zoning laws, public input, but time will tell whether the city doubles down on what it has been historically or embraces the change that's been looming in the distance. Schools here are okay. Schools in Georgia are going to be divided by the county lines, which means schools in Cartersville will be a part of the Bartow County school system, which gets a B+ on niche.com, and that's about the average for your school choices. Another disclaimer that I'm going to talk about schools from the perspective of third-party sites. We're looking at the letter grade from niche.com as well as the rating out of 10 from greatschools.org. If you're on the south side of Cartersville, you're going to be zoned for Woodland High School. It's going to get a B on niche.com and a 7 out of 10 on greatschools.org. If you're on the northern side, you'll be zoned for Cass High School, getting a B on niche.com and a 6 out of 10 on greatschools.org. There are a few on the very northern tip that will be zoned for Adairsville High School, which gets a B on niche.com and a 7 out of 10 on greatschools.org. And finally, if you're in the Cartersville city limits, you'll be zoned for Cartersville High School, which is operated by the city of Cartersville independently of Bartow County. It is ranked as the top school in the area, getting a B+ on niche.com and a 6 out of 10 on greatschools.org. Georgia has actually changed the state constitution, prohibiting cities from operating their own school system, but previous practitioners like Cartersville, Marietta, and Buford are going to be grandfathered into the system. Now, if you're thinking, yeah, this could totally work for me, reach out. We're going to get that relocation process started. If you're thinking, maybe this isn't for me, check out this playlist right here. I've got vlogs, map tours, and guides, so you can learn all about the different suburbs. Or even better, give me a call. We can chat about it directly. I'll see you in the next one.